another. The escape fleet ran into a new minefield off Dieppe. 4 minesweepers hurried out from the French harbour and did a quick sweep. Ciliax took a chance. He ordered the capital ships to pass through the hastily swept path first. Nothing happened. The minesweepers had done their job well. At 11 o'clock precisely, Admiral Ciliax received his first bit of bad news since Operation Cerberus had started. A young signals lieutenant rattled up the gangway to the Scharnhorst's bridge, flimsy in his hand, and in his haste forgot to salute.
"Admiral,"
he began.
"First salute,"
Ciliax interrupted him. In 30 years of naval service, he had never allowed anything to interfere with the courtesies of military duty. The boy flushed and saluted. Ciliax smiled.
"Well?"
"Intercept, sir." The lieutenant almost thrust the flimsy at him as if it were red hot.
Damn,
Ciliax cursed.
"What is it, sir?"
his second-in-command asked anxiously.
"The Tommies have spotted us. Fighter. Report 3 capital ships and 20 other ships steaming at high speed for the Straits of Dover. Position 50 miles off the mouth of the Somme." "Ah, heaven us and twine!"
His second-in-command cursed too, his face suddenly very pale.
"That's splendid. Jetzt gib es Krachen wohne."
The secret was out. The Wellingtons, the Spitfires, and the ancient naval swordfishes attacked again and again. But as Hitler had predicted, they had been thrown into the air too hastily, and their attack on the fleet steaming steadily northwards was totally without plan. The Me-109s and Focke-Wulf 190s, on the other hand, had their every move planned. Under the command of Colonel Adolf Galland directing the defense from an Me-110 sitting out of range, the German fighters climbed parallel to the attack force as they were coming up on a swift lift. Then they came in at 400 miles per hour, yellow noses spinning crazily, the frontal attacks hitting the low squadrons, the rear attacks going for the high and lead squadrons. Wellingtons began to fall out of the grey, overcast sky like black leaves, great pieces of aluminium dropping off them, emergency doors, wings, prematurely opened parachutes streaming by the survivors as they ploughed on grimly to their targets. The Focke-Wulfs took over. Lowering their undercarriages and tilting up their yellow-painted noses to lower their speed, they attempted deflection fire from 500 meters range, while the Me-109s massed to come in for the second attack. The fighters hissed above the shattered British squadrons, their pilots cursing the ice which at that height was beginning to form on their cockpits and blind them, and released their little parachute bombs. Almost immediately the small stick bombs began to explode among the British planes. A Wellington disintegrated in mid-air. When the smoke vanished, there was nothing there. Another slipped to port, then streamed out of the grey sky, trailing fiery scarlet flame behind it. It hurtled straight into the sea and disappeared in a great white flurry of water. More and more followed, but still the British pressed home their furious attack. At 3 o'clock off the Belgian coast, with the fleet, all guns chattering wildly now, the cumbersome twin-winged swordfishes from the British fleet air arm began dropping mines ahead of the German ships. 30 minutes later, Admiral Ciliax's flagship, the Scharnhorst, all 26,000 tons of her, was shaken by a violent explosion. Suddenly all her lights went out and her radio fell silent. Ciliax grabbed hold of the rail on the bridge just in time and cried in fury, "Scheiße, eine Mine!" Trailing a thick film of oil behind her, the Scharnhorst slowly but inevitably came to a halt. For a moment, Ciliax hesitated. It went against the grain to abandon the battleship, the pride of the German Navy, yet there were 20 other odd ships under his command, including the Gneisenau and Prince Eugen. They came first, not the outdated naval tradition of the captain going down with his ship. "All right," he yelled to his second-in-command above the roar of the British bombers, who were now concentrating their attack on the stricken Scharnhorst. "Order the Z-29 to come alongside. She can take me and the command off." Ciliax stared up at the sky. The weather was beginning to deteriorate rapidly. Visibility was down to 2 kilometers, and the cloud ceiling couldn't be more than 200 meters. Any minute now it would begin to rain. With a bit of luck, the Scharnhorst skipper might be able to get the stricken ship underway and escape before the Tommies could launch an all-out attack on the battleship. 5 minutes later, Admiral Ciliax was being winched across the heaving green waves in a bosun's chair to the waiting destroyer, leaving the Scharnhorst to her fate. "Object ahead, skipper!" HMS Rose's first officer, Lieutenant Doane, sang out in that easy American way of his. "Straight ahead, about 4 miles off."